It's August 12th, 1938. Spring is beginning to turn into fall. You are summoned, specifically you, Mr. Harold Powell, are summoned by way of some kind of back-channel communications. Feelers have been put out by the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department, looking for people willing to work with the Sheriff's Department in investigating a series of brutal murders, specifically a serial killing. Your name came up in their sort of initial search as an active private investigator in the area. And so these sort of intermediaries contacted you, and you, through your network of associates, informants, and that sort of thing, gathered together the rest of your crew here. And a lot of you are now at the Sheriff's Department meeting with Sheriff Martin O'Donnell, who is giving you the lowdown on what this case is and why you've been chosen to hopefully investigate it as opposed to their own deputies or officers. You're Powell, is it correct?
Yep.
I hear tell you're a fairly talented private investigator. I hope that bears out to be true, lad. Your friends here? Are you with you? Your associates, perhaps?
Yeah, you said you needed some skill in different parts, so try to gather, different areas of expertise.
Who's the old man?
You can call me Art.
Art. What exactly do you do, sir?
I'm a doctor.
Ah, excellent choice, Sir Paul. So you're a doctor, I guess. Oh, you look like a society type, but I imagine you have a real job.
Yes. I'm also a doctor, but I specialize in psychology.
Oh, one of those types.
PhD, not MD.
Understood, lad. No, actually, I'm a medical doctor because I took 2 in medicine.
You're one of them psychoanalysts, I imagine. Putting people on couches and whatnot.
Not always, but yes.
Fair enough. It's valuable in this line of work. And you, ma'am?
You're not going to guess?
It's not my job to guess.
She's pretty tight in uniform.
I get facts and I follow them.
I'm a captain in the Marine Corps.
What the hell are you doing in Cleveland?
I'm on leave.
So you decided that on your leave, perhaps you'd while away the time by investigating a series of horrible murders.
You have your ways of having fun, and I have mine.
That's remarkably uncomfortable of a thing to have said, but beggars can't be choosers.
Women these days, they're into,
That's right. All right. Please,
Party.
have a seat, and he gestures for you to sit down in his office. Now, I imagine, whether or not you've been in Cleveland for the past few years, you've no doubt heard of a series of murders that's been going around in the city. Specifically, you might have heard of the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run. Now, this butcher, and he is exactly that, has been killing folk and leaving their bodies behind, minus some choice portions of the anatomy. Usually the heads. We find they're either missing or at least separated from the body and left or buried nearby.
I assume you will have some of these corpses available for viewing and potentially dissection?
There's the problem, Doctor. You see, this investigation is under the auspices of the City Safety Director, Elliot Ness. Now, you know Ness, and you know his history. He's a big cheese around here, and he's got the favour of Mayor Burton. Unfortunately, I and my department can't work with him because we're loyal Democrats. And we want to see Ness get a bit embarrassed. We want to make sure that outsiders who come in here and decide to do their big league tactics are not bested, are bested by our force. or locals. Huh? So what we want to do is where you come in, Powell. You and your people do a low-key investigation. Walk, talk, get some intelligence, and try to solve this thing before Ness makes a cock-up of it all.
Gotcha.
Now you might think, why don't I just get my deputies to do it? Well, they have been active in the Roaring Third area in the west of the city where all the bars and brothels are, if you're not familiar. And, well, their profile's a bit too high to start any long-term serious investigation. They'd be picked out real quick. I need fresh faces and fresh eyes on this, and I don't want unwelcome attention, especially from the police department. So work quietly, work smartly, and I will gladly pay you $25 a day plus expenses off the books.
That's a sound to you.
Sounds fair enough.
All right.
He reaches into his desk and retrieves a packed manila folder, which he then slaps on the table. Inside, you find that it appears to be a file on these butcher killings. You see the public filings on the case as you're moving through inside, warrants and so on, copies of news stories that have been made on the butcher, and the results of the sheriff department's previous and somewhat sketchy legwork. Inside, you also find a case summary from the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department, just to share amongst the two, of the victims, and a couple of forensic details about when they were found, where, and what happened.
He's been busy.
Likewise.
Now, as you can see there, 10 people have been killed so far, with the possibility of more that we haven't linked to the killer just yet, or we may not do it at all. Simply don't have enough information.
Considering this case may have been started back in 29.
That's possible. Now, our working theory is that we are discounting the lady in the lake, and we're operating on his first victim, that John Doe, or the John Doe Andrassy development in September 35. Now, this butcher, as the press has taken to calling him, kills his victims at some unknown site. He moves the remains and leaves the bodies in pieces that we unfortunately stumble upon later. Usually after a neighbourhood kid or a poor unsuspecting woman has stumbled on it herself.
A lot of these are John Does.
Yes, due to the mutilation of the body, the finding it in, say, the Cuyahoga River and so on, the features of the body are either missing or unable to be verified as anyone's particular identity.
Faces too cut up. What?
Now keep in mind I have limited information on these bodies, this investigation, because it falls under Ness's jurisdiction, and accordingly that criminal file is tied up tight.
I'm assuming dental records aren't a thing.
No, they are.
They are?
But if the heads are missing.
Sometimes you don't have a head.
If they have,
Yeah.
if they don't have that.
I think almost all of the John Does are beheaded.
Most of the bodies
Because I
are
figured all
beheaded.
of them were beheaded, but then they just also found the head.
Sometimes they've found the head nearby.
They've sometimes found the head nearby.
Other times the heads have been
The
missing.
mate was identified by dental records.
Well,
So yeah, then they must have found the head.
Yes, that Rose Wallace woman, supposedly a prostitute. Her son came in and identified the body, from what I understand, and they corroborated that with dental records. But there's still some talk amongst the department that perhaps that's not an ironclad identification.
Are you assuming? I know you don't. You have limited information about the victims. Is the assumption that these are not upper class victims?
Well, that's the trouble. Most of the killings have been the poor and the destitute in Kingsbury Run.
Yeah.
Kingsbury Run, as Powell, I'm not sure you no doubt know, as a dark, dangerous, dirty place where the poor, the homeless, they live in shanty towns or run-down apartments. The place is a breeding ground for crime and poverty. And so the victims, accordingly, have been those on the edges, the fringes of society.
Draws less attention.
Until June of 1936, and they found that second John Doe, or what they've taken to calling the tattooed man. Now, he didn't seem destitute like the others. He was well nourished, clean shaven, dressed in clean and relatively new clothes.
The sailor, or
Yes, the one that they think might be the sailor. And from then on, the murders seemed to well, they varied in terms of the victim's social class, at least what we can tease out of it anyway.
did most of them have any possessions still on them, or they seemed to be...
Some were found naked, others had very little clothing on. Their possessions for the most part were missing.
Missing or absent from being on the fringe.
Perhaps washed up in the Cuyahoga at some point.
Washed up.
Either way, there wasn't much left to identify the bodies apart from their teeth, if we could find the head, or first-hand witnessing by, say, someone coming into the coroner's department.
Was there any variation between race or ethnicity?
There's one
There was
potential victim.
Well, we have two blacks that got killed. For the most part, we're looking at white people. Mostly men, but there was the occasional woman.
Yes.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of... It seems random to me. These victims didn't necessarily mean anything, per se, to the killer. He's just mad and killing folks however he can.
Lots in Kingsbury. So, maybe not random as...
Well, the working theory is that the killer's got some kind of
connection.
private place or connection down there.
Nearby.
That's where he operates. Unfortunately, Kingsbury Run being the packed, chaotic place that it is, with shanty towns and poor apartments and people moving to and fro, it's very difficult to get a bead on anyone down there.
Killers of this type usually do follow a power pattern, even if we can't quite see it yet.
Well, I'll take your word for it, Doctor. We haven't sussed out any pattern as of yet. And neither, apparently, has Ness's department. I get the sense that Ness and his boys are getting a little bit desperate.
How so?
Well, there have been 10 murders so far, and very little in the press about progress on Ness's investigation. Now, both Mayor Burton, Ness himself, hell, the whole city has a lot to lose if Ness's golden boy reputation suddenly takes a nosedive. So, the fact that the press hasn't reported on any kind of progress from the investigation, in fact has only whipped up the fervour about this mad butcher, is concerning, to say the least. Which leads me to believe that they're grasping at straws. And things are coming to a bit of a point. That means I don't think you lads have a lot of time. Yeah, present. Females, not stuff.
Sounds like we need to get to the field. Where should we start?
My most promising lead is a place called Leicester's. It's a dive bar in the 3rd, East 20th and Central. Now, my deputies have been working night and day, working around other cases, of course, but doing what they can, and they've discovered that all 3 of the victims that they've identified so far, positively, Edward Andrassy, Florence Palillo, and that Rose Wallace woman, regardless of whether or not she's Precisely, Rose Wallace. Those three figures were regulars at Leicester's. And apparently they kept company with a burly fella by the name of Frank. Now, we had just a first name to go with initially, but the deputies pulled up that he was most likely a fella named Frank Dolezal. It's Dolezal. Some kind of Slavic or Serbian extraction. Fella's apparently a bricklayer, used to be anyway, unemployed, and occasionally functions as a sort of pimp. Now in 36, 2 years ago, around the same time that they discovered old Flo's body, right? He was living at 1908 Central, a block from where Flo was dumped. Now, he doesn't live there any longer. I've got his last known address. But that seems pretty suspicious. We've got personal connections, we've got proximity to the crime, and we have a seedy character.
Alright.
Alright, I got a rules question.
Mm-hmm.
One of my abilities as an alienist is to use assess honesty to make a forensic profile from a crime scene. Does that have to be a fresh crime scene? Or could it be one of these?
It doesn't specify it has to be a fresh crime scene, just has to be if the crime scene is still set up where you can look at the evidence and stuff like that, then.
Alright, I want to check out the last crime scene then.
Okay, the death of the 10th victim?
Yeah.
The most recent one?
Jane Doe.
That would have been like
Months ago.
8 months ago, or 6 months ago.
Well, it's August 12th,
August. Okay, so it'd be 4 months ago.
so it's likely that the place has been packed up and scrubbed.
Reopened.
Yeah. And even if it were still open to investigators, it wouldn't be open to the sheriff's department necessarily without a lot of bureaucratic rigmarole, because the Nickel Plate Police Department and Ness's people are in charge of
The
that.
building might still be clean, but we can try to sneak in.
Now, does anybody have cop talk and want to spend a point?
I don't have cop talk.
I know somebody does.
I've got 1 point.
If you want to, it's up to you. I'm just saying this is a prime opportunity to use it.
Because we're talking to a cop.
Talking to a cop.
Sometimes.
And I've got to
Those
figure
are
out
6
how to
months
use
apart?
it, right?
Sometimes they're.
Yeah, you may say something like, it doesn't have to be like exhaustively detailed, but instead of using, say, if you're doing a forensics thing, you have to describe like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm putting the powder down, I'm dusting for prints, or like, okay, what I'm doing now is I'm examining the blood splatter to try to determine like what the nature of the wound, the killing blow was. So you have to be at least a little specific about what you're doing in the world to justify the use of it.
Shut the blinds. Let's keep it in the room.
Now I have a couple of finer details about the various killings for the past. It's been about 5 years. Let's see, not counting the Lady in the Lake, it's been about 3 years now. Now these details may or may not be helpful to you, as I've had to hear them secondhand. My deputies have gotten information from the grapevine or from locals who might have seen a thing or two. Now, obviously, since I can't and you can't be anywhere near the crime scenes, not that they're viable anymore, I can't guarantee their authenticity, but they might be of helpful extraction nonetheless.
Alright.
Well, I'm not going to give you the whole biography of the case. If there's any particular victim you want a little bit more information on, I can give you a couple of things to go on. Again, my reach is limited.
Let's go with the ones that we already know are identified. So
So
what do you know about-
Andrasi, Palillo, and Rose Wallace.
Yeah.
Right. Now here's what I know about Andrasi. It was found in late September. This is distracting.
Yeah. It's too modern.
Closing the window on the band, practicing outside.
Yes. Stop that.
They're tuning.
Mm.
Get the fuck off the street.
Arrested for disorderly conduct.
No, they're not arrested. They're just billy clubbers. Disperse.
Well, no, if you arrest them, you can claim eminent domain over their stuff, and you never have to worry about making noise.
This is forfeiture.
Mm-hmm.
This is war.
Now Andrasi was found with another body around the same time.
Mhm.
Apparently 2 boys, James Wagner and Peter Pastora, I believe was his last name. They were playing catch up on Jackass Hill, southern Kingsbury. Now one of the boys throws a ball a little too far, goes careening down the slope, hits the bushes. And the boys rush down there to find the thing, and they find Andrasi's body. Headless and naked except for his socks. Now, of course, they, or rather their parents, eventually called that in, hearing the news from the boys and then transmitting that to the police department. And when the police got there, they discovered a second body, or John Doe number 1. Not too far away from Andrasi's body. Both the bodies' heads missing, of course. But the police apparently found both of those heads partially buried nearby. They also found and again, I can't verify this, but there was a metal bucket found nearby. Had a flashlight in it, and was covered in this oily substance, which was mixed with traces of blood on the rim. Apparently the coroner was able to identify Andrasi, figuring that they found the head, and were able to put together a whole profile of the body.
Mhm.
It's a white male, 5'11", 28, blue-grey eyes, brown hair, about 150 pounds. Apparently this fella had rope burns around his wrist. And what I know about Edward Andrasi is that he has, or had rather, an arrest record. Various, what we would call snot-nosed punk crimes, petty thievery and so on. The other body, of course, was never positively identified. They got it, he was a white male, about 5'6", in his 40s, dark brown hair. Well, what little they could find of it. Apparently the body hair had been burned away, most of it anyway. The coroner apparently said that the body had been saturated with oil and set on fire, just enough to burn away the hair and leave a discoloured, hardened skin on the body. Now, this crime scene, the results that we found, rather they found on the body, and that we had to learn second hand, match the results of the other victims. These bodies were drained of blood, cleaned, before they were dumped there, and apparently they died from decapitation, hemorrhage and shock as well, which according to my rudimentary understanding of bodily science and my own coroner, that means they were alive when they were decapitated. One other thing about Andrasi that I feel I should mention. He was known as a regular at Leicester's and in the Roaring Third. A snot-nosed punk who was possibly homosexual. And apparently, in a conversation with his sister, she noted that he'd had some previous run-ins with mobsters. Now, whether that's true or not, I haven't the faintest clue.
To help give him service, or
I'm not sure.
just run in with
She never
mobsters?
specified. Just knew that he'd been involved.
From what I hear, they can get you all you want, and including all sorts of different kinds of prostitutes.
So that's the state of Andrasse. Now, Florence Polillo found the following year her body parts were found in a basket outside of Hart Manufacturing Building. Apparently, a local butcher had been startled in the early morning by women who claimed to have found a basket of hams or something, some various meat, outside of the Hart Manufacturing Building, and thought that our butcher friend had been robbed. The two of them went back to the site that the woman described, and as our butcher friend was investigating the basket, turned up that some of Polillo's remains were inside. I say only some. Most of them were found later, within about a 10-day span. We'd never found a head, of course, but they were found in a vacant lot around Orange Avenue. Now, Polillo, Florence, who was known as Flo in the Roaring Third, she was 40, 42 or so. She was a barmaid and a waitress, but she's been arrested had been arrested previously several times for prostitution. Now, in our conversations with people who had personal knowledge of Polillo, apparently she had a bit of a drinking problem. And this drinking problem led to some violent outbursts. At least so her ex-husband said. Apparently she had several relationships with various men afterwards, many of them abusive. And that's all we know.
She seems... Let's see.
What makes you think these bodies up in Pennsylvania are connected to these recent murders?
I don't personally think they are, but some of the details of the case are a little familiar with the bodies we found here in the city, and so I can't discount it.
So I'm trying to figure out why would they happen in Newcastle and then appear in Cleveland? Unless if it's a killer who moved and got new territory. The swamp tended to be good for him for hiding his bodies.
There was a theory circulating not too long ago. I'm not sure if it has much credence now, but it was some homeless type in the Kingsbury run who regularly rode the rails. It's possible that his murders did similar travelling.
But then he goes back in 36.
Now you can see our predicament here. Ness's boys haven't turned up much of anything, and we no less than them. As you can see that we are in a bit of a pickle.
What do you know about John Doe number 3, victim number 5? It says it may have been killed on the scene. That's different than the rest of them.
Yes, apparently a teenage girl called in the body, had found it. It was another nude body lying on its stomach. Its head was initially missing, but it was found wrapped up in the body's clothing about 10-15 feet north of the body. The body had been badly decomposed by then. Apparently it had been dead for quite a while. But it was lying in a pool of blood that had soaked into the ground. Examination of the ground and a good look at the soil determined that it was indeed blood.
2 months estimated could have been from the last killing. Someone that just popped on the scene. They just needed it off them.
Yeah, but that's different than the rest of them because the other ones were drained of blood before they were transported.
Aye.
They saw something. They needed to get out quick.
But they didn't take anything. They didn't do anything. They
Seemed
didn't mutilate
rushed.
them. It's markedly different from every other victim.
Seemed very rushed. They only beheaded and then left. No mutilations.
So what
Someone
makes
saw
that
something.
victim different?
They saw something. Someone
That's-
saw them.
That's what I'm saying. We need to find out. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
There may be one place to look first.
I recommend you head to Leicester's.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a good place to start.
Again, these crime scenes are long gone, and if you need any information, you're certainly not going to get it out of the police department.
People's memories are pretty shaky. When
Well-
it's 2 years ago, it's even worse.
I let him out. Go to sleep.
What if we aren't worried about the police, but the coroner? Wouldn't happen to have a name? Or names, perhaps?
The coroner for most of the murders was a man, A.J. Pierce. You might be able to get in contact with him, but if you do, I don't imagine he'd be terribly helpful. And news may trickle back up to Ness and his like. In which case, your investigation's over.
Does he have any grease? Anything we can push on? Help keep him quiet? Some alcohols? Any vices?
I have a
Easily
fine.
bribed? Just asking.
I'm not a spy, Powell. I'm a sheriff. I uphold the law.
I think I'll lean on Cop for this one. Well, of course you wouldn't know, but I'm sure there's plenty of people in your department who have worked with him before. Maybe one of them knows means to keep him quiet for this investigation.
Okay, so you're going to spend that point?
Mm-hmm. Spend
Okay.
that point of cop talk. See if we can get a name of a guy who knows a thing.
Pierce is the county coroner. He works with a lot of folks, both in our department and the police department. Look, I want to help you, but I'm scouring my brain. None of the boys have any sort of extended relationship with the coroner. Here's what I can do. And he reaches into his desk, pulls out a drawer, and retrieves what looks like a Cuyahoga County Deputy Sheriff's badge. Now this may open mouths for you, but it may close just as many as it opens. Understand? And if you're going to be using this, you better do it discreetly. Is that clear?
Crystal clear.
That's the best I can offer you. Maybe you flash that at the coroner. Perhaps he's a little more eager to talk to you. Provided he doesn't get a terribly good look at it. Now you don't need search warrants, because again this is off the books. But you don't make arrests without solid evidence.
Of course.
And I have to remind you, in your investigation, don't be pulling your guns and filling people full of lead. That makes it a nightmare for me, and one for you. Is that clear? Now then, you need anything else from me?
If we do, where would we be able to find you or contact you without drawing attention to either of us?
You can call the police department. You can call the sheriff's department. That's not a problem. Just have it routed to my office.
All right.
Just find a payphone.
I take calls all the time.
Okay. Well, let's see what we can figure out.
Right. Best of luck to you.
Do you have a 12 and drive? So I'd probably have a car.
Cool.
Well, it depends on your credit rating.
Depends on your credit rating, actually.
I think I got.
I have a car.
I think I got like a 3.
Steven has a car.
You got a 5. Yeah, probably. I can drive too. So.
Do you want to drive your car to Lester's?
Not really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not a,
Have a car
doesn't
versus...
sound like a great part of town.
Should it be in...
You park it in the good part of town, and then we'll walk there.
I have a credit rating of 3. That means I have a crappy used car, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There we go.
So, you drive mine. Pile in, cram into my tiny car. Let's go.
Yep.
Although it's 1938, it's probably a very large car.
Though if it gets in a crash, the car will be fine and we'll all be dead.
Yeah,
So that's a plus.
that's about right.
Does the car even have seatbelts? Haha.
No.
At this
All right,
point,
we're
Some
going to
of them
Lester's.
not necessary.
So you're going to head
Not
down to
necessarily,
Lester's.
but
Yep,
Okay.
some might.
Piling into whose car?
mine. Lance is going to, or Harold's going to drive it.
Okay.
We didn't want to take the nice fancy car
No.
to the crappy side of the part of town.
Sure. So a lot of you head into the Roaring Third, the home of bars, brothels, gambling houses. As you are making your way through, you see the obvious sort of decay of the city sort of spilling before you very quickly. You see that the fine, tree-lined bits of suburbia on the edge of what looks like a modern city is now eroding away to ramshackle buildings and people in destitute clothing wandering around. Clearly the Roaring Third is almost like the Wild West of Cleveland.
This was.
What is everyone wearing?
Clothes, I hope.
Yes.
Nice enough clothes that you need to rough it up a little bit?
Yeah, probably.
I think,
Trying to think.
it's probably not for me. It's like that classic wool jacket, probably. Like that real long wool jacket.
I'll be doing like the professor classic of the sweater vest. Nice slacks.
Loafers.
Yep.
Doctor, you don't really want to look like a doctor when you walk in this bar.
I suppose not.
Do you need some help? I can.
Surprisingly, I look like I belong there.
Sometimes when you shadow a person, that you need to shake up your look.
Oh, I've read many a great detective novel and how one follows another. So, I know what must be done. I'm sure we can stop by some sort of clothing shop. Do you know a good tailor?
If anything, just get something good and then just trade it with the nearest hobo. Then it'll look used and they'll be warmer for it.
Yes, but I don't want to wear what a hobo's worn.
I know a nice second-hand store.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to kick some dirt onto your shoes.
Okay, so you're gonna go into a secondhand store. What are you gonna do? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for some clothes for him.
Okay, well, what's your credit rating?
4.
Okay.
Wait, I have a higher credit rating than you?
Yes, you have a higher credit rating. I did not go Delton, so yes, you have a higher credit rating.
Well, with a 4, I mean, we're looking at that seems like a standard expense for you. If you just want to buy some rote kind of common clothing. Yeah, no, yeah. So you go up to the counter and you ring it up. A clerk comes by and sells you basically a pretty simple man's ensemble.
Oh no, I insist on paying for this. I will not have you covering my expenses.
That is fine with me.
Not you, anyway.
A German?
You kraut.
Not
dirty
you,
crowd.
people.
War hasn't started yet, so that
From the previous wars.
Oh, for the ooh, that might be a valid point.
Yeah.
But then
I wouldn't-
we're also kind of liking the Germans because they're hating on the communists right now. You have some hope that they'll fight the dirty
America
communists.
is very isolationist right now. So.
Oh, yeah. Remember we tried to stay out of the war for how long?
Oops, they sunk our battleship.
Alright, so now we have the good doctor
Roughed up.
not looking like a doctor anymore. Lesters.
His clothing is considerably more sort of lower middle class, kind of average looking. Maybe a little shabby, but not due to wear and tear, but just because it's a poor quality. Right.
Right, to a Lester's we go.
Okay, you pull outside of a raucous-looking tavern. As you make your way inside the place, this stench of sort of beer and unwashed bodies hits your nostrils. You see that the place is chock-a-block with what to you look like desperate loners. Hobos, aging prostitutes, washed-up salesmen who had never been able to
Sell any
regain their lion or their status since the Great Depression. Filled with all manner of people either drinking or waiting for a drink.
Okay, I'd like to use Streetwise to kind of talk around with the various customers.
With whom specifically?
Just generally trying to find somebody that knows something.
Well, I mean, like, since you're using Streetwise, are you talking to the hobos? Are you talking to the workers, the prostitutes? Like, what are you?
What demographic?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things were the prostitutes, so I'll talk up the prostitutes.
Okay. You walk up to a pair of prostitutes who are sort of leaning exaggeratedly over the bar in Lester's main room. You can see that they're sort of in their mid to late 40s. They're beyond their prime, at least from what you've seen from most prostitutes and sex workers. One with a sort of a thinning blonde cut and sort of weathered skin, leans over to you, smoking a cigarette, and she says, "What can I do for you?"
Yes, I've looking into certain people who have probably frequent this area. You have a...
I don't rat on my clients.
Oh, no, I'm not looking for that. Maybe one of your fellow workers. Rose Wallace? His name ring a bell?
Rose. She looks at her fellow prostitute. No, name doesn't ring a bell.
Alright. Would this be a good time to spend a point?
It's up to you. Because remember, if you have the ability in the right place, in the right context, you'll get the clue.
There's also another one, I think. Right? Was she
Flo.
from here?
Yeah, Florence, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Flo Barton, maybe Claire Dunn. Those names ring a bell?
Oh, Flo. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, she was a regular around here. She was one of the old guard, like us.
Yes.
I haven't seen her for quite some time. I understand she left town, or might have been knocked off.
Yes.
She liked to drink, talked loudly, was a bit of a heavy hand, but other than that, I didn't know her personally.
Had there been any people taking a special interest in her?
There was this one fellow. I don't remember the details, but What's his name over there? What's the name of that guy with the... He's got the 2 teeth missing in the front.
You just described like 15 people.
Now, old Gerald over there, he apparently keeps talking about some doctor that he saw. And from what I've heard from him, overheard as he was, pounding booze, was that apparently this doctor knew Flo. Whether they were involved, he was a client, I don't know.
I see.
If you want to know anything, you're going to ask him.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I put some money on the table and say, have a drink on me.
Thanks, honey.
So I come back to you guys and kind of relay this information.
I'll probably just walk up. Where are the working class people at?
They're scattered amongst the tavern. They're sitting at the various tables and booths just having a drink.
Cool. I'll probably sit at the actual bar itself, just place myself near some people.
Okay.
See what I can pick up from what they're saying. And
A lot of them seem to be talking about... they're talking about work. They're talking about bad dates. Sports. What they heard on the radio recently. It's all very sort of mundane conversation.
Who else was a frequent of this tavern?
all 3 people
Apparently,
have been identified.
the ID'd bodies.
All the ID'd bodies?
Edward Andrassy, Rose Wallace, and Florence Pillow.
Can I just kind of nudge my way into the conversations I hear about them complain about work and commiserate with them? To try to open a venue to talk to them?
Sure, if you want.
I'd like to do that.
And this fucking guy, I can't believe he got hired to be my boss. Well, that guy's as dumb as a box of rocks, right? Jesus Christ.
So it always works, right? You do your job for God knows how many years, and then they just hire someone else in before you. Never seem to want to move up the people that I already put in time there.
Fred, you know this bird?
I'll stick up my hand. I'm Evie. Who are you?
John.
Nice to meet you, John. Sounds like you got shortchanged.
Hey, we all.
I mean, if we weren't, would we be here?
I like this place.
It's got its charm, doesn't it?
No. Those cheap.
That's the charm.
Hey, fuck you, Fred. Don't look at me like that.
Fuck off.
What do you want, Eve?
It's just taking a drink.
All
Question
right.
about work.
All right. We usually don't, we usually don't see a type around here. That's all.
You mean girls?
They're not working.
Who don't look like they have, would you call it Fred Hagface? Yeah, no. Yeah.
I guess I'll take that as a compliment.
Sure.
He's a keeper.
Sure.
So who is it that's screwing you over at work? What do you do during the day?
I'm a mechanic. My boss at the garage is a rat prick. I mean, that's his defining moment. So, not much else. He's a tubby asshole who just keeps thinking that he knows more than I do, even though I have been working on cars for twice as long as he has.
Right. What about Jimmy's? That mechanic place down the you know what I'm talking about? The one that's on like 3rd and 5th down there?
What are you talking about?
No? You don't know that one?
No.
Okay.
You must be thinking of the east side.
No, God, what is that place? sorry. I just came back from I'm on leave right now, so it's been a while since I've been here. But I grew up in this side of town.
Leave? What are you, a sailor or something?
No, I'm a Marine.
Yeah, right. Okay. Pull the other one.
Quick, bench press him in half.
Really?
Look, lady, I don't know many lady Marines, okay? I wasn't even sure the Marine Corps even took ladies in, alright? It's not that I don't think you could do it.
I'll just pull out my wallet and flip him my military ID for a second.
Alright.
But anyway, there's that place on the...
Shut up, Fred.
There's that place on the corner. Did it close down? Old, God, Gap Tooth dude used to work there. Charlie? Something? There's a mechanic shop down there. I didn't know if that was the one that was in fucking yoga or not.
Nah.
But, I don't know, man. At least you've got a job.
Yeah, there's that. Thank God I can afford the money I need to buy the drinks I need to forget about the job I have to do. To afford the drinks I need to forget about the job that I have to do.
Vicious.
And on and on and on and on.
Is his drink about empty?
Huh?
I'm asking you if his drink is about empty.
Almost, yeah.
Hey, barkeep. Can my friends here another one? And I'll put some money down.
He gives you 2 fingers up and starts pouring another scotch and soda.
Well, it seems like these parts get more and more dangerous the longer you live here, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. You said you were on leave?
Yeah.
Well, if you ain't been there for the past, God, how long has it been? 2, 3 years? You wouldn't want to be here. You want to be somewhere far. You'd get on one of those fucking fancy boats, go to Guam or some shit, and you're out of there forever. You know, you wouldn't want to come back here anyway.
I mean, more than usual.
Yeah,
Heard some-
more than usual.
I've heard some
Brazil started
rumors that
town.
people have been going missing or something.
Yeah, and they're fucking dead. That's what they are. And then their upper part, where all the brain meat is, the
Yeah.
top head, gone. Right?
Jesus, I thought that was just a crazy ass rumor.
Nope.
I mean, fuck, you said it's been going on for 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah, shit. Everybody remembers that time. It's like 2 years ago. The cops started trawling the Cuyahoga, looking for body parts. Everybody was there. They were lined up around the banks. They weren't even being discreet about it. We were just all watching.
Jesus.
Press goes into a furor. We keep hearing about the Mad Butcher. It's fucking ridiculous.
Gotta give them a name, don't they? Jesus. Well, I mean,
Well, it's better than calling him the guy what cuts heads off of people. It's not exactly
okay,
as...
sure, yeah, okay.
It's not catchy.
I mean, Jesus, 2 years. And they haven't found him, the guy who did it yet?
Nah.
They haven't even, found someone take the fall even though they didn't do it?
Mostly they don't give a shit about us over here.
Yeah, I know the truth.
We ain't in a nice part of Cleveland, if you haven't
Jesus.
noticed.
What about... Well, I guess there's not a real sense of community around here, huh?
It's every man for himself around here.
Are there any spots that I should, extra avoid? Other than the whole area?
No? I mean, if you're already here, you've already put your foot in it, so... not much good you can do.
Jesus. Is this butcher, he target men, women? Anybody? Prostitutes?
I don't really read the paper. I don't know the details.
Sure.
I just know a lot of people.
I don't read.
I don't read. About sums it up, doesn't it?
Show up near the river,
Jesus.
in the run, they're dead. They ain't got no heads. That's all I know.
Whoop. Looks like my buddies are back. Thanks for the drink.
Thank you. Super fire, or whatever. I don't. What is it? Shut up, Fred. I'm not a Marine. I don't know. What is it?
Semper Fi.
Yeah, that. Cheers. Semper Fi and whatnot.
Drain my beer and walk off. That was only marginally awkward. Moderately.
Art's just like having awkward conversations with the bartender. Doesn't even really know how to talk with the bartender.
Mm-hmm. You gonna buy anything?
Of course. What's the finest thing you have on your menu?
You fucking kidding me?
You shouldn't have brought him.
Should I be?
I mean, we got one bottle of wine.
I'll take it.
The whole thing.
Sure.
Okay.
Walk back over. Why do you have a whole bottle?
Pulls out a dusty bottle of Merlot and sets it on the bar in front of you.
Spend some time like trying to inspect what year it is, where it came from.
Looks like it was last year.
Nice.
Looks like it's from Milwaukee.
Alright, why the fuck do you have
Good
a
old-
cheap bottle of wine?
Good old Milwaukee Merlot. I'm fitting in.
God
Oh.
damn it. Beer or a shot. Like,
Just get like some whiskey or some gin.
yeah.
Just
there you
sip
go.
on it.
All
I-
right.
If you want to still be
Get
refined,
an
but
apple
still,
teeny. Easy on the teeny.
but still drinking something they might drink.
What'd you find out?
Well, I tell you about this.
Flo. And the doctor.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be asking the bartender about.
Do I happen to
Andrasi?
see this guy that they described to me?
The doctor.
Hmm?
The guy that knows the doctor that
The
prostitute
teeth.
described to me.
He's off to the side in one of the corner booths. He's got kind of an angular face with gray hair that's been mussed up. You can see that sure enough he is missing two of his front teeth. Unfortunately, they're not a clean pair. It's one here and one there, so it makes it look kind of awkward. He looks he's got mottled skin. It looks like he looks like he's been pickled, which you presume is from the massive amounts of whiskey that he is slowly draining into his body. He looks like he's sitting alone. He's in shabby clothes. Probably a hobo, to your eyes, who's maybe gotten a hold of some money, legally or illegally, and is using it to wet his whistle.
We need to talk to that guy. Who has the best skills to do that?
I'll stand nearby and punch him if you need me to.
Yeah. I
Ah,
think
yes,
that's-
punching.
Hurting the local folk.
Only if you need me to.
Do any of you have any personal skills?
Of course.
Yeah, I just had an entire conversation with two mechanics over there. What do you want from me?
But I'm not sure I can have a conversation with that man.
God damn it. I'll do it.
Great. Do you want me to come with you?
Actually, Dr. Wellington, your particular skill set might be more helpful. That's all I'll say.
Interesting. Convince me.
The only way to learn
Look,
is to experience.
We're trying to find out about another doctor. So you would obviously be the one to talk to him.
And I'll go
Makes
with
sense.
you in case things go balls up.
So this man over there is a doctor who has simply fallen upon poor times then.
He knows a doctor.
You'd know the signs to what can maybe help recall his memory. You can.
I believe in that case you would want the alienist over there. But I shall have a conversation with this man.
Tag team.
Yes, let's see how that goes.
All right, you two have fun.
You stand over there. Make sure
Just
he does not
sit back and laugh.
In case of bad cop, Mr. Rogers.
Any other beer over
I
here?
know that.
Thanks. Take my beer and just stand near the table.
Just refill the whiskey.
Can you say torso murders? I know you could.
It's a beautiful
fall
day in the
thing.
Just
neighborhood.
keeping out of trouble.
A beautiful day for a murder.
I'm gonna stand near the table, but
Okay.
not let the hobo dude see me.
Okay.
Just in case, they.
Like hide in his shadow.
Yeah, just make sure he doesn't die.
Sure.
That's appreciated.
No problem.
Okay, Art. You were heading over to this booth.
Heading over, working on getting the cork removed from this bottle of Milwaukee Merlot.
You see that as you're approaching, he drains the last sort of dregs of whiskey in his glass, sets it down, and then immediately looks at it, incredibly disappointed.
He suddenly sees it start to fill back up with a slightly purplish liquid.
He sort of stares over, gets closer to the pour, and then slowly follows the pour up to the bottle and then up to you.
I'll put the bottle on the table. Good
Well,
evening, my good sir.
Thanks.
Of course.
It's mighty kind of you.
Always happy to help a man down on his luck.
Down on my luck, I'm the king of the world. What are you talking about?
Surely, yes. This section of the world, indeed, you are king.
Who the hell are you?
You may call me Art.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure you've been in this area for quite some time.
I got here like an hour ago.
Just gonna, literally do that, cockhead look at him, and then slow turn to look over
From
at
somewhere
Ava.
around the corner, you hear a chuckling.
You just want to take the bottle already, and you're like, no, I'm done.
Sweet
I'm
release.
done.
Sweet grapey release.
You see,
I got down here to pet you.
Get me out of this place.
So look at Ava, and it's like,
No, go ahead, play for me.
what doctor?
Hey, who are you talking to?
Oh, my friend. Let me introduce you to her. Her name is Ava.
So he looks over as where you've
Pretty
gestured
girl.
and sees Dr. Ava.
okay, I go over.
Where?
Congrats, this is paranoia.
Yep.
Pulling everybody for everything.
Which one are you talking about?
There's 3 of them.
The doctor in question?
Yeah, that one or that one? It points to you and then to the space just next to you.
Oh, this
Don't
man.
worry about the small details, my good man.
This man is quite drunk.
Yeah. So, an acquaintance of mine, a Flo, Martin. Maybe you've heard of her.
Yeah?
Said that you introduced her to another person in my profession that I'm interested in talking to.
Ah, yes, that is the doctor in question.
And I say this in a very flattering way. Not flirting, flattering.
Okay, you're just trying to, get on his good side.
Yes.
I heard you have an excellent memory.
Well, yeah, I know a thing about some people, yeah. Let's tell you what, you buy me a drink that doesn't look like this, and I will tell you whatever you want to know.
I go up to the bar, ask him for a bottle of bourbon.
Okay. He kind of looks at you for a second.
Yeah, whole bottle.
Alright. He hands it to you, and he gives you a look like, I'm expecting...
I give him money.
And a bit of a tip.
Yeah. I return to the table. I mean, my good man.
Oh.
Are you trying to kill him?
Yeah, it's just like, he's going to be dead.
Uncorks that. And just begins drinking directly from the
Yeah,
bottle.
just like gulp, gulp, gulp. There's a 5th.
Glug, 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 glug.
drinking it a finger at a time.
He's going to die.
So what? What do you want to know?
This doctor, do you have a name for him?
Oh, we never. He never said his name. Just it's just we call him the hobo doctor because he was good to us.
Ah, I see. Where would one find him?
I don't know. He usually comes in here.
Could you possibly give me a description of him?
Leon, shut up.
He's. I'm so tired.
Sir.
Oh. What are you? Who are you? What do you want to know?
We were talking about this hobo doctor.
Oh.
of yours.
Yeah, he was dressed great. I mean, he's to the nines.
Mm.
You know, he said he was a doctor, so I thought, well, there you go. And
A man of wealth and taste, then.
he talked storm up and down, just talked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was a man. He had stuff in his hair. What do you call that?
Hair
Stuff-
gel.
What the hell is hair gel?
Pomade.
Pomade.
Yeah, pomade.
Pomade.
Sure, yeah. It's slick. You had it in the hair and back, and he was like, he wasn't a young man, but he wasn't an old man either. You know what I mean? He was always good for a drink. He's a great guy, great guy.
Yeah.
And he used to give people lifts. Well, he offered anyway when this place closed up.
So he has his own vehicle.
Big black car.
Mm.
Yeah.
When exactly was the last time he was around here?
Let's see here. What day is it?
It's August 12th. The year 1938.
Oh, okay. I think I last saw him yesterday. Or it could have been several years ago. I don't know.
How often does he come in here?
Friday. It's Friday.
We saw a lot of him occasionally.
Pomade, Dapper Dan.
Yep.
I'm beginning to wonder if I could hypnotize this guy and get more out of him.
How can he get more inebriated?
He's
It might
lost
just
his
go ahead and put him to
inhibitions.
sleep. At
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
He might not wake back up.
You were getting
would have to
sleep,
fo-
and there he goes.
You'd have to focus on one watch, not one of the 5 watches. He'd keep on switching watches, and so he'd never
Which one?
focus, and so he'd never get into hypnotism.
You just get
It's
nauseous
the perfect
and vomit.
defense.
Yeah.
It's
Get
the
drunk.
perfect hypnotic defense. Just get drunk.
At this rate, we need someone to walk by and accidentally spill a cup of water on him to wake his ass
On
up.
his face.
Some hot coffee.
And some
Yes,
slaps.
scald and burn.
Oh, sorry, man. Didn't mean to spill my water. Oh, he's awake now.
Water's not going to do much good.
He is
You have to be hit with like a
3
fire.
sheets to the wind.
Oh, goodness.
I turn to you and whisper, I think we've gotten him out as much as we're going to get this guy.
I'm surprised you got that much out of the man. How do you talk to these folk?
She's a
It's a
magician.
skill.
Apparently.
Yes.
You see me start to walk by, taking a drink, going, let's go.
Yes, we leave the stable.
Thanks for the bottle.
Yes, my good man.
You're going to kill him if you let him drink all that.
It will be no great loss.
Merry Christmas.
August.
Happy Labor Day.
Barkeep, that guy in the back, does he always...
Yeah.
He hasn't died yet.
No. Some people got all luck.
Alright.
That reminds me of a dog where they tried to kill a
Hey.
guy by giving him
What
alcohol. He just wouldn't die. He just wouldn't die.
He knows
They'd
what
giving
he's,
him literal poison.
he knows what he's talking about. The guy that he described, he's been in here several times.
I was going to ask you, yeah. Thank you.
Recently?
Not recently, no.
He mentioned that this hobo doctor takes people in his black car. Have you ever seen any of those people return?
I don't know. Haven't been keeping tabs.
Anything else you can tell us about this doctor?
I know he kept asking the regulars about. He kept asking about tattoos. He was interested in if they had tattoos. You know, if they were sailors or they just, you know, frequented a tattoo parlor. I don't know. He just was real interested in tattoos. Asked to see you and asked to talk about it.
Strange.
Some of the folks around here, you know, they got plenty to chat about.
Yeah.
Sure. That's...
I think the last time I saw that guy, there was a worker around here. If you get my meaning,
I do.
her name was Flo.
Yeah.
She died a few years ago. Got killed, actually. I remember a couple of days before I read in the paper that she got killed. She left with that guy. And I haven't seen him since.
You haven't seen him since then?
No.
The doctor?
Yeah.
What about Rose or Andrassi? Rose
Andrassi?
Wallace. Rose Wallace.
I don't know Rose Wallace.
What's Andrassi's first name?
Edward.
What about Edward Andrassi? They're all regulars here. I don't know if you knew by their names or not.
Small time crook. Did he...
Do you get a description? You know what he looks like?
If I can get the paperback out.
No, he was a small time crook. You know, he was a hustler. You probably see him doing his game to your locals.
There was a guy like that. Eddie, yeah. Yeah, he's a small-time asshole. Just, you know, running gamma scams. And
Professional ways.
Was he ever Was he the one leading the workers, or was he more of just employing the workers? Did he buy the workers or sell the workers?
sometimes he'd buy, and I think sometimes he was selling himself. Depending on how fortunate he was that day.
Rose Wallace would have been a worker herself. Had a son.
Yeah, well, that narrows it down.
I know. Sorry, man. That's all we got to go on.
I never heard of him.
Okay. You ever see where this doctor, general idea where he resides?
Nope. I stay here behind the bar, and I sling the drinks. That's it. Ain't none of my business.
There were so many places that you could house a big black car in this part of town and have it still be in one piece.
You're asking me?
No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking out
All
loud.
right.
Assuming he is from this part of town.
I got customers there.
Thank you, sir. And I'll, put an extra...
The hell, that bottle of Merlot go?
Oh, it's still
drink
on
that
the
whole
table
thing?
with that gentleman.
No, he actually won't drink it. Do you want it back?
Fuck.
He says he doesn't want it.
Yeah, I'll get it for him later.
Cool. Alright, thank you. You've been very helpful.
Yeah.
Since we're giving him a bottle of wine that we paid for back, you can resell it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been open, so...
I mean,
Like
yeah.
what? Slide him another quarter or something? That's like decent.
Yeah.
A quarter? What is it? You gonna shine your shoe?
No, I mean just for like helping us. I'm
Was-
poor. I can't give him a whole $1.
Was there anyone who Andrasi frequently worked with and deals with here in town?
Yes, if Andrasi's a small-time crook, perhaps he was working for someone else?
Are you asking the bartender?
Yeah.
So he's just about pulled away, but he hears you. Is that Frank guy?
Ah, yes. Is that,
Frank Dolezal.
Dolezal.
Oh, sorry.
Same guy.
Okay. Have you seen Frank recently?
Not recently. He's probably at some other bar. He usually stays soaked. And, well, back when he was a regular around here, he was, well, he was a champion of the worker, if you know what I mean. He was,
A communist?
No. He's a pimp.
that's funny.
The workers, not a unionist, yes.
Ah, I see. Yes. Sex workers.
Oh, Jesus.
You folks have a nice day, huh?
Of course.
That means we need to leave him alone now.
Oh.
He's done talking to us.
He wants us to find the other bar where that patron may or may not be.
How are we supposed to find a bar? There's so many of them out here.
I know one, but he's probably not there.
Can I call upon my knowledge? Because I legit was going to have my character grow up in the port side of town anyway. So, I just know where can I just know where the other bars are?
Something makes me think number one knows
Or where they
Andrasi
used
a
to be?
lot,
How about
since
that?
they were found 100 yards apart. They could just be buried. Like,
Could it be so? I mean, there's the...
kind of like this.
Isn't there the time of death is different?
No, they're.
Between
Well,
1 and
it was
4 weeks.
it was 1 to 4 weeks, and then he was dead 1 to
2
2
to 3.
days. 2 to 3 days.
Yeah. So it sounds like they were probably killed at different times.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a common dumping.
Dumping spot, kind of like the.
Yeah. And then when that one got
swamp.
figured out, moved on, probably.
No.
I'd like to
Good
see
bit
the
of
home
time
screen
between
where
those
it
two.
tells us if we've gathered all the clues out of this location or not.
How many check marks? we
Well,
How-
we
how
could
many-
ask some of the
how many,
workers if they know where he is.
Proms have turned gray and
I
are
think
not
that's
white.
probably more your
Highlight.
area of expertise than mine.
Doubt.
Why do you always think I need to talk to the sex workers?
Because you've already talked to them once and they already know you and know that you'll give them money and drinks.
Also, if I talk to them, there may be confusion as to what I'm talking to them about.
God damn it.
And I don't really care to be called.
Don't
a
worry.
husband.
While wearing a sweater vest, no one sees you as a sexual being.
But I'm not wearing a sweater vest right
They know.
Sweater
The-
vest is,
the aura
attached
of it.
to your soul at this point.
now. That's good.
Look, I already talked to him, so...
Would you like to proposition them? For questions, of course. For questions.
What questions are we asking them now?
We're trying to find this Frank guy.
Now you know where Frank's last known address was. O'Donnell mentioned it.
It's true.
But
Didn't you
we'd
say
like to know
he'd
if there would
moved
be
from
any
there?
other bars that he would frequent.
I mean, the bartender said as much, but didn't have any specifics.
But the workers, especially ones that he manages, might know.
Maybe.
Sounds like we should try his old address first.
No.
Sounds like a safer way.
Shouldn't we get the information? What? Fuck it.
I mean, if you want it, you may talk to them. But as stated before, I cannot be seen.
Why the hell are you here?
Let's go.
I'm starting to wonder that myself. Make me get out
I'm
of
gonna
my
hand you the
sweater
keys.
vest.
I'm gonna hand you the keys to my
So
car and
you
start
get a
heading.
favor, I pull up. I only have so many favors.
Alright, what was it, like 1908
1908 Central.
Central?
Was where he lived in 1936.
So
That was a
last
block from where
address.
Flo Palillo's body was dumped.
Yeah.
However, his
Yes.
last known address
Oh, okay, cool.
was 2941 East 22nd Street.
Okay, let's go to that one.
That was the last known address that O'Donnell had for Dolittle. So you make your way to a ramshackle brick building, 3 stories. There is a rusty, precarious-looking fire escape along the right-hand side, leading up to a series of dirty windows. The place looks like a very low-budget apartment building. And it looks like that, given the address and the number, that Dolittle's got an apartment here somewhere.
Mailboxes. Do any of them list his name? Not that nice of him, huh?
No,
Apartment complex.
no, ma'am.
How many apartments are in this building?
You'd have to go in.
Oh,
So
let's go in.
go in. Is there like a lobby or?
Sure, yeah. There's a sort of a rudimentary lobby. There's a sort of a greasy-looking fella,
Okay.
behind the counter.
You have the badge. Go talk to that guy.
Powell,
You might
maybe?
want to be careful about who we flash this badge to.
Oh, he's not.
Before we go in,
Design,
I'll-
Detective Rogers.
Aha!
Before we go in, I'll kind of like
It's a
tug
beautiful
on
day in your
coat
neighborhood.
sleeve, Harold, to be like, you should probably take the lead on this one, Mr. P.I.
Oh, speaking of which, and I'll hand the badge over to you. You probably know how to use this better than I would.
Zero cop talk. But I guess
That's
I
talking
guess.
to cops.
Yes.
You don't need that to talk like a cop.
It's not cop-like talk.
Yes.
Cop adjacent.
Isn't.
Okay, so you've got the badge, and you are heading in, Mr. Powell.
Yes.
There's this sort of greasy-looking fellow behind the lobby counter. The place looks like a flea-infested mess. It looks like basically like a multi-tiered flop house, essentially.
Right.
And this guy is thumbing through what looks like an old newspaper, specifically the funny pages, and sort of digging something very important out of his right ear.
Ew. I'll
So-
follow a few steps behind Powell.
So I'm going to put a disguise. I'm going to spend points and try to roll for disguise.
Okay.
And I'm going to make myself look like, I don't know, is cocaine a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
This time?
Cocaine is the thing.
Yes.
It's
Like
It's been a thing for a while.
So I'm gonna like make myself disheveled, like the hair messy, and just like get like that. I'm gonna, my disguise is less gonna be the look, but also like the habits of like getting the just pinching the nose.
That's
and
reasonable. Yeah.
just- and roll for disguise for that. I'm gonna spend 2 points.
Okay. This will be because the gentleman is not paying too close attention. It looks like he's he's not exactly the finest perceiver of character or details. This will be slightly less than average difficult.
Because Frank
Mm-hmm.
deals in seedy items, right? Workers.
yeah. I
Frank
think
from O'Donnell's description was an unemployed bricklayer who turned to pimping.
so. Probably not in narcotics, but who knows? Maybe he's
Maybe.
branched out.
Yeah, maybe a dabble.
Sometimes you gotta branch out.
So that'll be 6.
Very good. Okay. So you walk in with your disheveled look, your coat asunder as a tweaking and rubbing your nostrils.
Hey, ding ding ding. I'm looking for Frank.
fucking stop it. Get out of here. Go away.
What room's Frank in? Supposed to be meeting Frank for some stuff.
You get out of here. You're getting customers out.
Please, I'll just get out of your way as soon as you tell me where Frank is.
Fine. 2941, second floor.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Head up.
Okay. So you make your way up to the second floor.
Nice and quick.
The place, this is clearly a cold water apartment, meaning that at this time in history, they didn't have to have hot running water. So there was only cold water, and if somebody wanted to take a bath, for instance, they would have to heat the water on a stove or something, pour it into a bathtub or what have you. There's no central heating in the way.
You wouldn't have to have plumbing either.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things you didn't.
So you make your way to 2941. It looks like, sure enough, the label on the door says as much. You don't hear much coming from the hallway or the door that you're in front of. You know, however, the door is locked.
So I'll probably keep up this disguise and try to knock on the door.
Okay.
About 30 seconds after you get there, I just kind of meander up the stairs and prop up against the
And if
door.
there's no sound of movement,
So you knock and you listen for about 6 seconds. No response. Doesn't sound like there's any movement in there.
I'm going to take 2 looks. Clear?
And I'll kind of stand in the way so people can't see what you're doing.
Lockpick. Okay. Nice. So you have locksmith?
6.
Nice.
Very good. Okay. Do you want to spend any points on this, or are you just going to do locksmith?
I'll spin a point.
Okay. So, you, because of your disheveled nature, because of the obvious sort of... You're making yourself obvious, which is making you invisible. Because you're clear, people don't want to be around, people want to look at you, they're like, oh, it's a fucking crookhead. Yeah, let's get away. So that enables you to very quickly put the rake and file in, click, and you're open, you're in.
Off to the races.
I'll probably see you following. I'll just
Oh,
What about you two? Arch and,
Evelyn behind you.
Ava.
I'd assume we might want to just hang out by the car unless you think we're going to be needed up there. There's a fairly good chance.
I can't leave you alone here.
I mean, I could take the car for a ride.
I don't want our only means of transportation leaving without me.
Oh, I wouldn't leave. I'd come back.
I think you missed the point.
Perhaps I have. Shall we go up then?
neon sign. Bad idea. Bad
Stay here by the
idea.
car.
Bad idea.
So the two of you
Split,
currently are
yeah,
waiting by
The car.
by Captain Long's car, and the two of you are making your way inside the apartment. You're just
Inside
going
the
to the
apartment,
apartment.
yep.
Okay. Inside, you see the place is a cheap flop. There's very little in the way of furniture or personal effects. Even there's the occasionally discarded food stuff, a chair here, a ramshackle table there. You see a ratty-looking mattress, and beside that is, strangely enough, a decent-looking side table, purely a holdover from the previous apartment occupant. And on that table, you see that there's a notebook. And other than that, the place looks
Any adjacent room?
cheap and empty.
Any adjacent rooms to go in?
No,
Is it
single room.
Is it lit or not?
Not currently lit. No, but it's being that it's the middle of the day.
Oh, is it?
There's
Okay,
a
I
little
thought
bit
it was
of
evening.
there's a little bit of light
Windows
streaming
light.
in from the window. Yeah.
Does it look like it's been occupied,
Recentish?
cover of dust?
Do you have forensics?
I have evidence collection?
Okay, do you want to use evidence collection?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have forensics.
Want to spend any points, or just do it normal?
I'll do it normal for
Okay. So, taking a look at the place, it looks like, there's some dust cover that's clearly been moved on the side table. There's no dust on the mattress itself, which looks like it's been used recently. Yeah, it looks like there's been somebody here living.
Shall we take a look at the notebook?
Got it. I'll walk over and open up the notebook.
Inside, in this notebook, written in simple, kind of jagged-looking handwriting, is a list of 25 names and addresses. None of them seem to match any of the people that you know have been identified in the Torso murders, or any of the people that you're aware of. They all seem to be sort of random names and addresses. Now, there is one, the farthest away from them. It looks like it's across the country, but the farthest away is in Ontario, California.
The lesser-known Ontario.
So not like... There's not a name from the bar?
No
favorite
one, no names that you picked up either from the bar or from O'Donnell's briefing.
Because I'm thinking more of addresses less than the names themselves.
No, none of this. This all seems completely like new information.
Okay.
Think this will do us any good?
Maybe. I don't know if this is Frank who's here or they got new clientele. Because, I mean, I wouldn't expect, Miss Flo or Rose to spill beyond this docket if it's his current clientele.
Alright, well, you know what? We either gotta take it or put it back because he's gonna be back soon.
I'm going to take a photo. Got foreign photography. Might take a while. We'd have to develop it, but at least, we'd have it later.
What are you taking a photo of?
The notebook.
The names in the notebook?
Well, it's a couple of pages. You'd have to
It's a
take
couple of
multiple
pages.
photographs. Yeah.
Is there anything else in that notebook besides those names?
No.
Okay. Is there a drawer on this side table?
Yes, there's a drawer. You open it up. There's what looks like drug paraphernalia. Some
T-shirts.
used cigarettes and like a cap from what looks like clearly a bottle of whiskey or something like that. But other than that, just sort of a slum living bric-a-brac.
Alright.
Now, you used Evelyn's collection, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you notice, Mr. Powell, as you're turning to sort of get another survey of the room, that one of the bricks below the windowsill looks a little funny to you, looks a little discolored. And that sets off your immediate... that sets off your instincts, thinking like, maybe a hiding place, maybe hollow, who knows?
That's out of place. Should we take a look?
Sure thing.
Does it look like it's from this building, or is it like painted when it's not supposed to be painted, kind of thing? Or
It looks like, I mean, the
it just
material
looks
of
like
it.
the mortar's kind of.
Yeah, it looks like sort of the mortar around it is a little thin, and it looks like the brick itself is a little discolored, not matching the rest. At least discolored in the sense that it doesn't match the discoloration of the rest of the bricks. I mean, it's very
that's
obviously
what-
stands out.
A little bit cleaner, kind of thing. Just
I'll go over and pull it out, yeah.
Okay, so Captain, you go over there and you pull it out, and it comes out really smoothly, really
Great.
easily.
I have it
Because,
in
as you realize as you're pulling it out, that the brick is hollow. Inside, you see a small twist of paper and what looks like a rolled up packet.
Powell. Yeah, pull one in. You get one, I'll get the other.
So what do you take out? The twist of paper or the packet?
I'll take the packet.
Okay.
Take the twisted paper.
Okay. Do you investigate these things? Okay.
Yep.
You open up the twist of paper and you find inside a white powder.
Do you want to do it for real? And I'll twist it back up and toss it back in that brick. Don't you fucking dare.
Inside the packet, Mr. Powell, you find
It's anthrax.
you find 3 photographs. In these photographs, you can see the following. In the first photograph, there's an unknown man, a white male, looking like he's in his, sort of around his 30s, having sex with a black female prostitute.
Was that a chain? No, it was a chain.
This man, his face is not visible in the photograph. However, you can see that he's got a peculiar looking tattoo high up on his shoulder. It looks like an arrowhead pointing into a curve. Now, the room that they're in looks like some average Cleveland flop apartment. Not this apartment particularly, but a flop. In the second photograph, you see that same man having sex with another individual. This time, you recognize this this person from the photographs, some of which were included in Sheriff O'Donnell's file, having sex with Edward Andrassi.
Oh yeah, the suspected.
Now this man, again, this same man who's been in both photographs, his face is not visible. Picture appears to have been taken through a window. There's a corner of a painting visible behind the two. You can see a little bit of detail there, but most of the painting is obscured. The third photograph, the same man, having sex with what you are, based on the description that you were given by Sheriff O'Donnell and the evidence packet, looks like Flo Palillo.
Flo.
Now this room, unlike the previous two, looks like it has been furnished sumptuously. Behind the two figures, leaning against the wall in the photograph, is what looks like an engraved bas relief. Maybe marble, soapstone.
I'm going to look at... This is Flo, right? I'm going to look at her arms and legs, knee, torso, see if... Looking for, like, the tattoos, if she has tattoos, or maybe reasons why those would be so contorted. Like, from the photo. Trying to, like... Well, I guess we're going to need to take these... These are very important. I think we found our first 3 victims.
Flo, from her exposed body parts, doesn't appear to have any tattoos.
No tattoos.
Now that same man does. You can see that same
That
arrowhead
same
into the
arrowhead
curve
tattoo.
on the high on his shoulder.
Because he had said that a lot of them had tattoos. I think some of this may be like the Ripper killings. He went after prostitutes. These started with homosexuals, prostitutes.
Let's discuss it when we're not in Frank's apartment. I'll take the photos, stick them in my outer kind of jacket thing I've got going on. Put the brick back. Let's get out of here before he comes back.
I wonder if this may not be Frank's stuff. This may have been the previous occupants.
I think even someone as dumb as Frank would have noticed that brick. It's definitely his. The question is, and we're walking down the stair, we're standing out on the landing at this point, lock the door and close it behind us.
Lock it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The question is the man in the picture Frank, or is the picture of the doctor?
I think that's victim 1.
No, I think the man having sex with him is the doctor.
The first victim was also emasculated, just like Andrassi.
There are more than one victim that was emasculated. A couple of them were.
A couple of them were.
Mm-hmm.
So I know 2. The first 2 were.
The first 2 were, but there were others that were emasculated.
There were also.
Yep.
Anyway, you better put your cocaine face back on and get downstairs. I'll follow you in a second.
Ava, Art, roll sense trouble, please.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. Dang it!
So I'll walk down to
Why did I not
I'll walk down to
I've
the
only got
opposite
2
end
in
of the
sense
hallway,
trouble, but I don't want to spend
away
any.
from him.
All right.
Not
Now-
yet.
And let
Do
him
we
get
have
ahead
to
of me.
spend
and I'll
points
follow down.
before we roll, or
Yes.
before you tell?
I think
It has to be before you roll. We've already established that.
we've established that.
I'm just going to take the
Some of the abilities
take the
give you
role.
the option.
Doctor's
for
being a
double
little
cost.
carefree right now.
Now, since it's sense trouble, like Dave recommends in the book that I never tell you what the difficulty is.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
4.
So you got a 4,
Why did I not see that as a skill?
8.
Nice. Burn some.
So, both of you notice that coming up the sidewalk, heading towards the apartment building, is a burly-looking man of what looks like Slavic descent, with sort of a barrel-chested look. He has got a Well, actually, if you'll go into the Google Drive, into the folder that I shared with you, the Trail of Cthulhu folder, inside the Cleveland Torso Murders,
Things I was not expecting to hear today.
you see there's a photograph there of a display of Edward Andrassy, right? At a historical event.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
There's Edward Andrassy. It should say Edward W. Andrassy. You can get a photograph of him. And
I don't think I'm seeing.
Detective displays knives. Very nice.
you see a picture of Flo Polillo, another sort of display at a
Mm-hmm.
You also see the man who, based on description from O'Donnell, looks like Frank Dolezal. You see that same man on the photo that says Frank Dolezal.
Oh, okay. A little bit lower down.
You see that figure with a kind of a 5 o'clock shadow, kind of greasy swept hair,
Very strong face.
strong jawed face.
Mm.
Which is this under? Google Drive.
And then under the Cleveland Torso Murders folder. And then
Oh, I see.
You see some
scroll
photos
a
in there?
bit, and there he is.
Is it just me that, or does Andrassy look a little bit like Gary Busey?
Might be
Everybody
just
does
you.
do that. I think it's... gonna guess it's you.
Oh God, what can I use?
It's like a little Gary Busey.
So at this point,
Okay.
So you see this gentleman coming towards the apartment building,
Mhm.
looking obviously like he's coming in.
Ava, I believe that's the
Shut
man
up. Shut up.
in
Shut-
the apartment.
Shut up. Shut
we
up.
should probably
Shut
talk
up.
to... Hold on. I'll talk to him. And then
God,
just
no.
approach him.
so Rose Wallace was African American.
So you see, so you see this burly guy walk in, and then you approach in your street clothes. I
Yeah,
guess?
I have not been able to
Okay.
don the sweater vest yet.
So what do you what do you say? Do you intercept him going up the steps, or
Mm-hmm.
God,
Okay.
I was gonna do that because I'm so.
what the fuck do you want?
That might be
Excuse me,
Rose.
sir. Do you have the time? I seem to have
Victim
misplaced
8
my
is-
watch.
Rose. She's African American.
You can.
According to
So
the photo.
you're right in front of him. You can see in his
Oh, and
body
the
language
photo,
and
the photo.
smell on his breath as he's
Yeah.
sort of heavily
If she was
breathing on you.
African American.
Mhm.
This man is drunk,
She was.
Because I didn't see
very
that
clearly drunk,
in the.
and not like, oh, I just had a
description of
day
the
drink.
victim.
Like
It wasn't.
He's-
but this
he's-
is, if this
he's-
is the picture of her.
He's heavily drunk.
you could wring, like alcohol out of
this man.
Yes. He pats himself for a minute and then looks at his wrists. And he's,
But these photos
with
that
my
we
watch
already have seen.
Oh,
Are these the ones in the dossier?
you wouldn't happen to have a light, and I'll produce some cigarettes.
Okay.
Pop one in my mouth.
Just
Just
sort
to
of
buy time.
reaches around and manages to sort of shakily pull out a lighter, flicks it, and holds it out
Light.
for you to light your cigarette.
off it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Smoke, and then head back towards the car.
The two of you, Captain and Powell, you both hear. After a few moments, you hear some footsteps downstairs. You hear what sounds like a sort of a low, gruff voice talking to the guy behind the counter, and then you hear footsteps coming up to the second floor.
I will quietly run up to the third floor.
I follow him into the building discreetly.
Okay, roll stealth then.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
I think that might be shadowy.
I'm
It's a hard question on that.
I'm not trying to
I don't
follow
know.
him unseen. I'm just trying to look inconspicuous.
Then I think that would be stealth.
Yeah.
It's
6.
Okay, very good.
it's kind of like the skill like evidence collection forensics. You know,
It's
it's got that
pretty.
overlap.
It's pretty easy for you to mask yourself from this gentleman and still follow him, seeing as how he's moving in the manner very much like the sort of soaked drunk. Yeah. He's clearly not in his best perceptive powers. So he continues to make his way up the stairs. Do you do anything there, friend? As you hear footsteps coming up.
I think at this point you were getting ready to head down, weren't you?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start heading down, and I'm gonna keep in mind. Was the guy's face with the tattoo ever like shown to the camera, or was
No.
it always like the back of his head?
It's always the back.
Always the back.
He was always in a position where his face was not pointing towards you.
Revealed.
You have dark hair?
Well, seeing as it's a black and white photograph, it looked like
It wasn't
medium.
blonde.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't blonde.
Okay.
Was there? So there was only the one tattoo, the one very distinctive tattoo.
The one tattoo high on his shoulder,
high on his shoulder.
arrowhead going into a curve. Yes.
Okay, so I'll start heading down.
Is your cocaine act on?
Mm-hmm.
Cocaine act initiated.
Okay. You see a burly-looking gentleman, clearly Frank Dolezal, coming up, pounding up the stairs, using the railing to try to steady himself. He actually sort of barrels into you and walks past you.
Good, because I was going to barrel into him.
I see. Okay.
You're both just barreling towards each
Well,
other.
the two of you collide about 3/4 of the way up the stairs.
And I'm like specifically looking for the tattoo on like in that area to see if that's like try to connect
I see.
the dots.
Like grab. Oh shit!
Not even that, but just like oh, and as you like jostle, try to like get that
Get a view on.
look down the
Would
shirt.
that be fletching?
Are you stealing from him?
Stealth,
Stealing his privacy. I don't know.
scuffling.
Let's say stealth,
Okay.
because you're attempting to do this in a kind of clandestine manner. You're not stealing. You're not fighting him. You're just kind of knocking into him in a way that might tug at his clothing and give you a look at.
That's a 9.
9. Very good.
I
Okay.
forgot. I don't need to spend points if I'm rolling 6s.
You'll just
I mean,
saves.
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So you
That has
collide.
been my problem.
You collide with Dolezal about 3/4 of the way up the stairs to the second
Excuse
floor
me.
landing. And the way that you collide with the gentleman is his jacket and his shirt sort of strip over. He's trying to
Tug.
collect himself. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you don't see hide nor hair of any tattoos on his body.
Okay.
I mean, obviously from the very small percentage that you can
Not
see.
like he may have some, but it's just not that specific one.
Well, you certainly didn't see that specific tattoo on the side of the shoulder that you were able to tuck. Yeah, it should have been on the right hand side of his shoulder. You checked there; it didn't
wasn't
seem to be
there.
So we're like, I could bet yay here.
I'm on the 3rd floor,
He gives you a kind of a dirty look and then continues upward.
idly smoking, pretending to smoke a cigarette in case anyone comes out of their apartment. Just FYI. Waiting to hear a 2nd floor door click shut, so I can GTFO.
Okay, so you hear a man sort of jingling with some keys, kind of shakily opening a door, locking it. You hear the door open, it shuts rather brusquely. You hear some movement around and downstairs.
1,000. Head downstairs.
As you're heading downstairs, you hear a loud swear. Fuck!
I'll go back up the stairs.
Gotta go.
You hear a door open up and slam, and you see a gentleman. Well, you don't see it because you're on the 3rd floor. You hear a gentleman running back and forth on the 2nd floor.
I think after I've passed him, I'm definitely like running down. Like after that, once he's gone, I'm just like
Go look around.
Just as you are crossing down the first staircase on the landing where the lobby is and out the door, you hear footsteps coming after you.
Is there a fire escape up on the 3rd floor?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's use fire escape and go down.
Okay.
Get back out to the car.
yeah, get to the car.
Where the fuck is Powell?
No, I'm like running.
You're running? Okay, cool.
So the three of you see Powell in a sort of disheveled look, like rushing towards the car
Get in the car.
Yeah, we all
across
get-
the street.
Yeah, I'll hop in and start it up as
As soon as I see him,
they're
I'm
running
down
out.
the
Oh,
stairs, I'm going to
I'll
the
spend a
car.
point for athletics to like slide across.
Do
hood
the
slide.
TJ Hooker thing? Yeah. Slide across the hood.
Nice.
I mean, if you want to, yeah. You're going to have to roll, though.
It's 2 too excited.
That's
to
a
roll.
5.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
Nice.
Slide across the hood, get inside. So who's driving?
He's driving.
That's why I'm sliding across.
Yeah, he's
I thought I
To
was
get
gonna
to the... Oh, are you...
I was the one in the car, so I figure I'll get in there, start it up, and be ready to go.
Okay.
All right,
If
cool.
people are like booking it out, like, oh, okay, time to go.
Okay.
So you get in the passenger side as we've got Art in the driver's side.
Yep.
Do you have anything in driving?
Yeah.
Good, because I need you to roll driving right now.
Cool. This seems like a good time to spend a bit.
You rev the engine, and you see out of your driver's side window the frame of Dolajal coming through the door down the stairs, looking around wildly in what looks like anger and surprise.
Okay. In a moment of what would simply be called pure panic, I'm going to just dump all 4 of my points into this roll.
Okay.
Blind panic.
Like 3 will give you an almost guarantee. Like for average rolls.
Yeah. But you know how I roll, so. What's that? 7.
And if this isn't an average.
Very good. Okay.
This man probably has athletic skill.
So you put the car on drive, you put your foot down,
Like I was
peel
ready
away.
for this.
And you see at the last moment as the apartment and Dolajal are fading away from view, you see Dolajal take a look at this screeching car in the distance and try to run after you, but is not able to make the distance. You hear some loud swearing. What looks like, it sounds like some of it's from another language, coming at you as you're driving away.
Unless it's German, I don't know what he's saying.
I'll pull out the photos. These aren't Frank.
I have the photos.
No, I had the photos.
Oh, okay. I thought I took them.
Because you had the crack.
I put the crack back.
It was cocaine. It was not crack. Let's be clear about that.
Crack comes later.
That's later. That's an 80s thing.
Because
You know, we're lucky. I stayed with him. Because this fucking guy wanted to take the car for a drive while we was in there.
well, he would have only noticed me, so I could have run for a dash.
You seem to handle yourselves pretty well.
Well,
Yes, then the car would have been moving.
I hope no one has a delicate stomach. I think the man in this picture, and indicate for Powell to hand you Ava the pictures. I think that's the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at it when I'm not driving.
It's a man having sex with 3 different people, all 3 different victims, actually. From what I can tell. Rose, Andrasi, and Flo.
Yes.
His
Interesting.
tattoo on his right
One thing I
shoulder.
should note for the future is that the case file, that obviously not the proper case file, but the file that O'Donnell gave you, you can spend a point of that per scene. It has 1 point that refreshes per scene. You can spend a point of that to look up or remind yourself about particular salient details of the case.
and
Great.
in that Google Drive, is everything in it, like photo-wise?
Oh, that's photo stuff, yeah.
So victim 8 looks to be African American, and that's Rose Wallace.
It appears, based on the description that you've got, that looks like... I mean,
It looks
you're,
like the
you're,
first
you're
prostitute.
putting the dots together. Okay, that's Andrasi, that's Palillo.
But could we
That's probably Rose.
put the photo that we have? Is that like the same person, like that victim's face?
If you,
Victim eight?
you'll spend that point and say, nope, that's Rose Wallace. Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
Did he see any of us?
Got a good look at me. I made sure I looked for that tattoo, and it's not on him.
But he still had the photos. He might still know something we need to know.
I talked to him before he entered the building, but
He was drunk. He sounded
quite. Oh my. Not quite as bad as that man in the bar, but close.
He at least might be hiding him. He might have.
Well, he's
He definitely.
supplying him.
Yes, if this is the doctor,
Or
he
he's some vigilante trying to catch him himself.
I suppose that is a possibility. I hadn't thought of that.
or he's got a vendetta because he's killing
This
his
seems
workers.
more like blackmail material.
It could be. Alright, so how do we want to play this?
Well, I imagine.
Oh,
We can look for the man in these photos. We can.
We had a can. I think it'd be easier to. Well, no, not necessarily. Hold on.
Continue to look for the doctor.
That would seem like a good idea. However, the man seems to have gone to ground. I suppose we could always peruse homeless locations. See if there are any hobos who have recently seen said doctor. But that's a needle in a haystack, I suppose.
Very
Especially
much
for this
so.
part of town.
Dirty haystack.
I will not be wearing my sweater vest for that search.
Obviously. What do you take me for?
You should keep your hat pins, because hat pins can double as knives. Get like a foot-long hat pin.
I believe that you have some photos to develop.
Yeah, we can. They'll take a while.
We have nothing
They
else
were just
pressing
names.
right now. We're at a real dead end with other leads, so perhaps we should do that. Unless you can think of another lead we should be chasing down.
The only lead I can think of is somebody who would know this tattoo, or the doctor.
I have a setting question. Were there tattoo shops up and about around 1938?
Yeah, tattoo parlors. Yeah, absolutely. There were sailors, so yes.
Why don't I drop you off where you need to develop the photos, and I'm gonna go ask around at tattoo shops.
Probably
I'll go
do it
with
in my
you and
office.
We'll split them up.
I'll take out a piece of paper and sketch the tattoo on another piece of paper, so I don't have to show them pictures of this man having sex.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna sketch a picture of the tattoo from the
Okay,
photo.
yeah, sure.
So I don't have to show people the photo.
Sure.
And I guess I'll do the same, since we're going to split these up.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'll take Powell to his office. Is the good doctor going to come with you and help develop the film?
I suppose so. I don't know much about cameras and all that, but
Earliest instant camera, 1923. Would
Okay.
I have that money for an instant camera?
probably not.
Probably not.
As a private eye, I'm going to say no.
What's your credit rating?
You need a good,
3.
reliable camera, not necessarily a
That's true. I need good image quality.
Mm-hmm. For evidence.
That wouldn't be very good image quality.
You'll take your time. Get things done the right way.
Get a,
Do it
get a
myself, so,
mind-blowing thousandth of a megapixel or whatever.
so nobody else sees my
Single
incriminating
pixel.
data.
Yeah, so I'll start going. I'll go head to the nearest tattoo shop after I drop off Powell.
Okay.
Yeah, is there an easy way to find the tattoo shops in the area?
Yeah, you can look at the phone book.
Okay. So they did have yellow pages in the
I'm
thing?
pretty sure they had yellow pages.
I
I
would
think
imagine.
we remember that.
Let's find
I
out.
think we asked that.
We talked about this at one point.
At one point, we asked when was the Yellow Pages something. It was like in the 80s, like 1880s or something.
1886.
Yeah.
Woo!
There you go. Yeah.
Name and concept came about 1883, and it just took a while.
I was good.
Okay,
I
so
remember.
Nice. Yeah.
There's a phone
Yeah.
book you can use. Yeah.
the captain and I will kind of make a list of the tattoo parlors and we'll split it up.
Okay.
Oh, I
sounds
think we
good.
looked it up for the book.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, because you had the camera.
Because we were
that's
looking
right.
for the the law office.
Mm-hmm. How would we find that?
Okay, I think that's where we're going to wrap here tonight because I need to eat. But we're not over yet tonight. You're more than welcome to stay, and
Hang out for a bit.
we'll just do some stuff for the New Year's.
I do have my Switch in the car.
That's all.
Hey.
There you go.
I mean,
Problem solved?
I do.
that solves the problem.
Problem solved?
I did bring it just to get. But you know, what I did forget is my empty bottle. I haven't sent it.
You keep forgetting.
That's
No, I have
That's
not.
good.
I've not
That's
seen Steven since I finished it.
that's fair.
Oh,
That was.
Trey keeps
Trey.
forgetting it.
Trey
That's
keeps
right.
on
Oh, yeah.
forgetting it.
One day.